Equality is a word that gets thrown around a lot these days. And to be fair, it's a nice idea. But does equality have anything to do with reality? Or are some groups of people just better at certain things than others? I think we both know the answer to that question. It's no coincidence that like 9 out of every 10 social workers are women, or that 10 out of every 10 NBA players are men. Women are generally more social-oriented, and men are generally better at getting balls through 10-foot-tall hoops. But who's better when it comes to music? In this video, I'm going to tackle this controversial topic. Now, I don't know if men are better at tackling topics than women, but we're definitely better at tackling physical objects, like other men. And that's all the assurance I need to believe I'm qualified to tackle this complex topic, hopefully without sustaining a traumatic brain injury in the process. Number 1, nothing but net. Men might be better than women at dunking balls through a 10-foot-high net because they're generally taller. But when it comes to the net worth of top musicians, women don't have to stand on their tippy toes to look their male counterparts in the eye. If you examine the net worth of the 10 wealthiest musicians in the world, there's no gender gap. The only gap you'll find is the one between Madonna's 2 top front teeth. Of the 10 wealthiest musicians in the world right now, 5 are men and 5 are women. Beyoncé, Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, and of course Madonna all have a net worth of at least $700 million. If you extend that list to include the 20 wealthiest musicians, you end up with 10 men and 10 women. So, when it comes to the highest paid musicians in the world, dudes are no better than chicks, and chicks are no better than dudes. In America, that 50-50 split pretty much holds true. But if we look across the pond at bloody old England, we see something different. The list of the top 10 wealthiest British musicians includes exactly 0 women. You might expect someone like Adele to make the list, but all 10 are dudes like Paul McCartney, Elton John, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and other aging rock stars. So in the UK, it's an absolute blowout when it comes to net worth. But I mean, who gives a shit about England? Both globally and in America, the only country that really matters, men and women are both equally represented amongst the wealthiest of musicians. So when it comes to net worth, this one's a tie. Number 2, you're the worst around. With so many incredible male and female musicians out there, it's impossible to decide who the best is. My personal favorite musician of all time is Frédéric Chopin, but it just as easily could be Aretha Franklin. There are simply too many awesome musicians of both sexes out there to pick one that's better than the other. So, instead of trying to figure out who makes better music, let's take a look at which gender makes the worst. The ladies have a few musicians on their team that are going to be hard to beat. And by beat, I mean be better at making bad music. I don't know what day of the week it is half the time, but I do know that I cringe every time I hear the word Friday ever since Rebecca Black's song came out. She managed to ruin everyone's favorite day of the week with that spectacularly bad, albeit somewhat catchy song. The ladies also have Carly Rae Jepsen. Though Call Me Maybe was a commercial success, I definitely call that song, along with all their others, terrible. 80s superstar Tiffany could have been left out of the conversation, but I'll mention her because she recorded some terrible covers like I Saw Her Standing There and I Think We're Alone Now. I think Tiffany sucked then and now. I'm sure she's alone now after putting out so much bad music. And lastly, I'll mention Yoko Ono. Even if we forgive her for breaking up the Beatles, which I don't, we can't forgive all the awful music she's released. Yoko has recorded lots of what she calls experimental music, which is just another way of saying she's recorded lots of terrible music. Don't let words like experimental or improvisational fool you. When they come before the word music, they just mean bad. Lots of other women have made and continue to make bad music. Bad Baby, Katy Perry, Cardi B, Ashley Simpson, the list goes on and on. But how does it compare to the list of awful male musicians? Frankly, Mr. Shankly, it doesn't compare. Though there are some absolutely dreadful female musicians out there, male musical badness is on a whole other level. Though guys have been making awful music for centuries, it seems to have peaked around the year 1990. First came Milli Vanilli. This German R&B duo became an international success with songs like Blame It on the Rain and Baby Don't Forget My Number. But no one would forget when Milli Vanilli repeatedly got caught lip-syncing on stage and the public blamed it not on the rain, but on the duo themselves. For about a year, Milli Vanilli were the laughingstock of the music world. But then, much to their delight, a young MC stopped to collaborate on a song, then listened to the world relentlessly make fun of both him and that song for the next 3 decades. I'm talking, of course, about Vanilla Ice and his 1990 hit, Ice Ice Baby. I honestly can't think of a worse song that sold more copies. Maybe if the Ice Band collaborated with Milli Vanilli and they formed a supergroup called Milli Vanilla Ice or something like that, they could make a worse song that does even better commercially. That, of course, assumes it's even possible to make a worse song than Ice Ice Baby, which it isn't. Bad music made by men might have peaked around 1990, but the 80s were packed with terrible testosterone-driven tunes too. On the electronic side of things, you got bands like Depeche Mode, although I wouldn't exactly call their music testosterone-driven. The members of Depeche Mode look like they have about as much testosterone flowing through their veins as a prepubescent girl, and I'm talking all the members combined. Between their wishy-washy sound and girly lyrics, I'm almost tempted to throw Depeche Mode into the female musician column. But since all the members have an X and a Y chromosome, allegedly, I'll stick them in the dude category. On the rock side of bad man-made 80s music, nothing compares to bad hair metal. There were too many awful 80s hair bands to name them all, but a couple stand out. I remember Winger getting made fun of a lot, even though I can't name a single song of theirs. But thanks to Beavis and Butthead, I can confidently tell you that their music is awful. And then there's my personal favorite bad 80s hair band, Grim Reaper. See You in Hell is one of the worst piece of shit songs to come out of the hair era. That being said, as much as the song sucks and as much as I hate myself for it, part of me absolutely loves this tune, and at one point I even learned the guitar solo. But that doesn't change the fact that Grim Reaper, along with countless other hair bands from the 80s, were awful. Terrible music made by dudes might have peaked around 1990, but it certainly didn't end there. The late 90s and early 2000s gave birth to some of the worst male musicians the world's ever known. Right around 1995, several terrible rock bands emerged onto the national scene. An Alice in Chains cover band from my area changed their name to Godsmack, a name stolen directly from an Alice in Chains song despite Sully claiming otherwise, began writing originals that stole much of their sound from Alice in Chains and did the best they could to become famous. Now, if only they'd go away. Another terrible band to come out of the late 90s was Limp Bizkit. Despite there being dozens of better rapcore bands touring around that time, Limp Bizkit blew up because they had industry connections. Though their music may have made my dick and the dicks of other hardcore, rapcore, and metal fans as limp as a wet $3 bill, Fred Durst uses cheesy-ass rhymes to make the panties of female TRL fans as wet as, well, a wet $3 bill. No surprise, it was mostly preteen girls dropping $20 bills on Limp Bizkit CDs and concert tickets, while real fans of heavy music were out listening to bands like Hatebreed, System of a Down, and others that get my personal stamp of approval. Now, I'll admit, Limp Bizkit has exactly two songs that I actually like, Stuck and Break Stuff. But if I got stuck listening to any of their other music, that stuff just makes me want to break, assuming Fred Durst's face isn't within reach, my stereo. Now, I've saved the worst for last. The band that gets my personal stamp of ultimate suckiness, along with millions of others, is of course Nickelback. I can't be sure about this, but I think they chose the name because if you paid a nickel for one of their albums, you'd get a nickel back in change along with it because their music is worth absolutely nothing. Oh, Nickelback, how you remind me of every single other generic rock band in the world. Maybe someday I'll see you guys as rock stars, but because of you, you're kind of saving me the time. I've got you figured out and I'm feeling way too damn good about thinking you suck. If today was your last day and you decided to stay far away from the stage and never again record another album, I'd come for you to get a photograph of me shaking hands with the shittiest band on the planet before you go bottoms up. When it comes to who makes the worst music, there's no comparison. While it's true that men may have given us a handful of phenomenal musicians like Beethoven and the Beatles, they also gave us an endless list of ones that blow like Coldplay, Creed, Hootie, and/or the Blowfish, Vanilla Ice, Snow, Machine Gun Kelly, and a billion others. While it's true that for every Beyoncé there's an Avril Lavigne, for women that's a good to bad ratio of 1 to 1. For men it's more like 1 to 1,000. For every Aesop rock that exists, there are 1,000 Kid Rocks out there. And as such, women dominate this category not for putting out more good music than men, but for putting out much, much less bad music. Do you want to show off your love of music with a comfortable, stylish, and affordable t-shirt like this one? How about one of these? You can find shirts, hoodies, mugs, stickers, and other cool music-related merch at MusicBSharp.com. Whether you're looking for a gift to give a music-loving friend or just want something for yourself you can use to make that friend jealous, at MusicBSharp.com you'll find what you're looking for. Every single order helps to support this channel, so if you like these videos, head over there when you're done watching. MusicBSharp.com. Number 3. Gendered genres. Whether you're a Gen Xer like me or from Gen Y or Z, you can easily see that some genres are gendered more generously toward ladies with 2 T's and a V or us G's with a D and 2 B's. To put it simply, some genres are dominated by men and some by women. But which gender has the best genres? Pop music definitely leans heavily toward female musicians, especially in recent decades. Beyoncé, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande, Lorde, Billie Eilish, and Britney Spears are just some examples of women who have dominated the pop charts. But unlike pop tarts, which are popping with delicious goodness, when it comes to music, the word pop doesn't mean good, it means popular. And just because something is popular doesn't make it good. The most popular kid in my high school wasn't a good student or even a remotely good person. While some pop music is good, this female-dominated genre is mostly just varying degrees of bad. Another genre the ladies own is R&B. This one has a much better track record. There's never been a shortage of incredible women in the R&B world. Aretha Franklin, Etta James, Diana Ross, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Gladys Knight, Tina Turner. I could go on and on. At last, a female-dominated genre that I actually respect. That being said, while I appreciate R&B and do like the genre as a whole, it's not one that I listen to all the time. The two I do listen to the most are rock and rap, both heavily dominated by men. I mean, talk about a sausage fest, which I'm going to do right now. I guarantee you'll find just as many wieners at a rock or rap festival as you will at something like the Nürnberger Bratwurst Festival, an actual literal sausage fest. Rock festivals are packed with dudes who smell like a combination of Axe body spray and BO, look like a combination of Axl Rose and Dio, and scare off women wherever they go. While plenty of women from Janis Joplin to Joan Jett totally rock, just about every rock subgenre is dominated by men. Metal and punk, my two favorites if I had to choose, are overflowing with wild, raw, sweaty, smelly, non-toxic masculinity. Or in the case of bands like Biohazard and Nuclear Assault, maybe a bit of toxicity too. Regardless, metal and punk are both played loud, fast, and with unmitigated aggression. It's music that makes you want to dropkick the guy standing next to you in the face. An activity usually reserved for us dudes because we constantly feel the need to prove our masculinity, however fragile, to whatever other guys are around. And when it comes to testosterone-fueled egos, you'll find the same exact thing at hip-hop shows. While there have been a handful of prominent female rappers over the years like Lil' Kim, Nicki Minaj, Missy Elliott, Queen Latifah, and my all-time personal favorite, Salt-N-Pepa, women only make up about 10% of rappers. If you look at Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest hip-hop songs of all time, you have to scroll past 37 dudes to get to the first woman on the list, of which there are only 8 in total. Like the title of song number 6 on Rolling Stone's list, rap is nothing but a G thing, assuming G means guy and not girl, and that you put mostly in front of nothing, because rap is mostly nothing but a guy thing. So, who has the best genres, men or women? No doubt about it. Dudes. All the kick-ass, heavy, hard-hitting genres are dominated by testosterone. Now, you may be thinking, hey Ellis, since you're a dude with lots of testosterone pumping through your veins, you're biased. But thanks to that testosterone, I can overconfidently tell you that I'm 100% right, you're 100% wrong, and that I should windmill kick you in the mouth for even suggesting I may be biased. Even if that were true, which it's not, this is still my video, and I'm giving this one to the fellas. For those of you keeping score at home, that's 1 for Team P, 1 for Team V, and 1 tie. So, since men and women both have a record of 1, 1, and 1, neither sex won. The truth is, the vast majority of music made by guys and gals is equally awful, but the opposite is also true. On the rare occasion that someone writes a good song, it's equally likely to come from a chick as it is a dude. So, the answer to whether men or women are better at music is an utterly unsatisfying, I don't know, neither really. But it doesn't matter who's better at music because AI is better than men and women combined and will soon be replacing them both. Before long, the battle of the sexes will be won, but not by men or women, by androgynous machines capable of making music far better than anything either gender could ever produce. Fortunately, men and women are both equally capable of enjoying music, so we can both equally cringe our way into the future as flawless but sterile, artificially created, royalty-free music gradually takes over. Eventually, human music may make a comeback just like the Go-Go's. But right now, it looks like music made by guys and gals is going to go down the same road as the dodo.
You're so annoying.
If you like this shirt, it's available in lots of colors and sizes at MusicBSharp.com along with lots of other funny music-related merch. If you want to see some exclusive content and get early access to regular episodes of MusicBSharp, check out my Patreon page. And if you'd like to hear some of my unambiguously testosterone-driven music, check out my album Denialism, or search for this dude on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever else you listen to music.